I got tired of my own excuse before anyone else got tired of hearing it. That's really what changed things. I'm 83, and "it's just age" had become such an automatic sentence I'd stopped noticing I was saying it. Researchers who tracked testosterone hour by hour found the sharp morning peak young men have is nearly flat in men my age, but a specific morning habit is tied directly to restoring it. I remember the exact moment I got tired of it. A quiet realization one evening that I'd used that phrase 3 separate times that same week, none of them actually examined. You've probably built the same reflex, a phrase so worn smooth it stopped functioning as a thought and started functioning as a wall. That morning peak is what changed my nights, not anything I did at night at all. In a minute, I'll show you exactly what I started doing each morning. What actually changed my nights had nothing to do with anything I did at night at all. It started in the morning. Here's what I learned. An erection depends on 3 systems working together: hormonal, nervous system signal, and blood flow, governed by nitric oxide. All 3 are tied more than most men realize to your internal body clock, your circadian rhythm, which governs when your body produces testosterone overnight and into the early morning hours. I never once thought to connect my mornings to my evenings before this. I treated them like 2 separate chapters of the same day, with no real relationship between them, when in reality, one was quietly setting the stage for the other the entire time. These days, my evenings feel completely different than they did during that tired, repetitive week. I have steady energy through dinner and beyond, instead of that flat exhaustion that used to hit right around sundown, the same time I always seem to reach for that worn-out phrase. I'm not telling you that to brag. I'm telling you because the fix came from a place I never would have guessed. Here's what reframed everything else. The blood vessels involved here are some of the smallest in your entire circulatory system, smaller than the ones feeding your heart, so circulation issues tend to show up here first. Researchers who study this treat it as a meaningful early signal. It's one of the reasons doctors who specialize in this area often say that erectile difficulty can act as an early warning sign for cardiovascular problems elsewhere in the body, sometimes showing up years before a heart problem would otherwise become obvious through any other symptom. For 3 years, I slept 3 feet away from my wife, and it felt like 300 miles. She'd fall asleep first. I'd lie there staring at the ceiling, wide awake, feeling like a roommate in my own marriage. I thought something was wrong with me. It wasn't weakness, and it wasn't just age. Here's what no one ever sits a man down to explain. This isn't about willpower. It's about specific systems in your body quietly losing steam year after year, while nobody tells you it's even happening. The pills my doctor handed me gave me headaches, made my chest feel tight, and honestly, they made me feel like I needed a pill just to feel like a man. I wasn't willing to live like that. There's a gentler way to bring those systems back, without any of that. At 83, my wife and I aren't roommates anymore. I'll show you exactly what changed it in this video, and if you want the simple support I personally use, there's a free presentation linked in the description below. So here's what actually changed my nights. Within the first half hour of waking up, I started going outside, no sunglasses, for a few minutes of real daylight, followed by a short walk. Morning sunlight exposure is one of the strongest signals your body uses to set its internal clock, and that clock governs the hormonal rhythm tied to your testosterone production overnight, the exact hours that determine how your nights actually go. Regular movement itself also supports the endothelium, the lining of your blood vessels, which is the tissue responsible for producing nitric oxide in the first place. It felt almost absurd at first that something I did before 8 in the morning could have anything to do with how 10 o'clock at night felt. But the mechanism, once explained, made complete sense, and within a few weeks I noticed the difference wasn't imagined. I added a few other pieces. Vegetables rich in dietary nitrate, feeding the same nitric oxide pathway from a second direction. Better sleep, since that hormone production happens mostly overnight. Less alcohol, since it works against nearly everything else this whole system depends on. I stuck with the morning walk through some genuinely unpleasant weather that first winter, mostly out of stubbornness, and I'm glad I did, because the consistency turned out to matter more than any single day's conditions. There were mornings I nearly skipped it, telling myself the cold or the rain was reason enough. What kept me going was remembering that the whole point was consistency, not perfect conditions, and a short walk in bad weather still counted for more than a long walk I kept postponing indefinitely. My wife and I have started that same morning walk together now, and it's become the part of the day I look forward to most, which surprised me since I never expected a habit built around fixing my evenings to become my favorite part of the morning. I think about a man named Gerald who wrote in, 68, who told me he'd spent years assuming the fix, if there was one, had to happen in the evening, close to whatever the actual problem was. He said learning the mechanism actually started 12 hours earlier changed how he thought about his whole daily routine, not just this one part of it, and he started treating his mornings with a seriousness he'd never given them before. If you're on medication for blood pressure or your heart, please hear this clearly. Nothing here replaces your treatment, and you should never stop or change a medication on your own. Mention anything new to your doctor every time. Gerald told me the shift in seriousness spread well beyond just his walking habit. Once he understood mornings actually mattered to something he cared about, he started treating his whole morning routine differently, waking earlier, eating better breakfasts, small changes that compounded together over time. He said the strangest part was how much better he slept once mornings had structure, an effect he never would have predicted given that the whole change happened 12 hours before bedtime. He called it the most surprising side effect of the entire experiment, better than anything he'd actually set out to fix. What I want you to walk away with is this. I got tired of a phrase before I found a real answer, and the real answer wasn't where I expected to look. Sometimes the fix for your nights starts with your mornings. I spent years looking for the answer in exactly the wrong 12 hours, assuming an evening problem needed an evening solution. Learning that the actual lever sat 12 hours earlier reshaped how I think about a lot of things now, not just this one, since I've started asking myself more often whether I'm even looking in the right part of the day for the actual cause. Your erections don't disappear just because you got older. They fade when the systems behind them, blood flow, nitric oxide, hormones, energy, and recovery, slowly stop getting the support they need. Ignore that long enough, and it becomes harder to reverse. That's why I take this concentrated formula every morning. Not one ingredient trying to fix everything, but several working together to support circulation, energy, and drive from the inside out. It's a natural, doctor-backed protocol designed to support pathways your body already knows how to use. No prescription, nothing artificial. Stronger, present, confident again. And unlike the pills I tried, I didn't feel disconnected from my own body. No headaches, just steady, gradual change. My wife noticed before I even said a word. The presentation is linked right below this video. It won't replace your doctor or a healthy lifestyle. It's simply there to support your body. At 83, my wife and I aren't roommates anymore, and it's not too late for you. A phrase worn smooth from repetition stops functioning as an actual thought and starts functioning as a wall you put up before any real question can get through. Walls like that are efficient in their own way, shutting down a conversation before it starts. But they also shut down the possibility of ever finding an actual answer, and I lived behind mine for longer than I want to admit. I think about the man I was, reaching for a worn-out phrase instead of asking a real question. And I think about the man I am now, who finally asked. That's not vanity, that's dignity. I remember the exact moment I got tired of it. Not some dramatic breakdown, just a quiet realization one evening that I'd used that exact phrase in my own head 3 separate times that same week for 3 different disappointments, and none of them had actually been examined even once. If you've ever caught yourself reaching for the same tired excuse without examining it, tell me in the comments. And if this kind of unexpected explanation is useful to you, subscribe. There's more of this ahead.